Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Ketubot, pages 53 to 59, Nun Gimel through Nun Tet. 53. Ishto arusa, lo onen v'lo metamela. V'chein hi lo onen v'lo metamelo. What happens if a couple is married only at the level of erusin, betrothal, but not fully married with nisuin, and one of the two dies? Well, the one that's alive does not become an onen or an onenet, meaning they do not abide by the strictures of that early first stage of mourning, which occurs between the death of the relative and their burial. V'lo metamelo, and does not render themselves impure, contracting corpse impurity to matmeit in order to participate in the funeral. So if someone is a Kohen and they're not allowed to, other than in the situations when they have to, then in this instance where it only was Erusin and not Nisuin, they do not render themselves impure. Meta eno yorsha, if she were to die, he does not inherit her. Metu govek tu batan, if he dies, she does receive payment of the ketubah. Nun daled. Afal pi she'amru, betula govem matayim almana mana, even though it was said by the sages that a virgin bride gets 200 zuz and a widowed bride gets 100 zuz in the ketubah, if you want to add to that amount even an astronomical sum, even 10,000 more zuz, you're allowed to do so. What happens if the marriage came to an end by way of divorce or she was widowed? Whether the marriage ended after only the phase of erusin or even after a full-fledged nisuin, the woman will collect the entirety of the ketubah, including the supplemental amount. However, Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah Omer, according to Elazar ben Azariah, the full supplemental amount is only paid if there was nisuin. However, if the marriage ended after erusin, then only the standard 200 or 100 paid, and the astronomical supplemental amount is not paid. Why not? Because the husband only wrote that into the ketubah on condition that he would bring her into the full-fledged marriage. And since that never happened, she doesn't get that extra cash. What happens if there is a deathbed gift in which a method of acquisition was mentioned? Now, ordinarily, a deathbed gift does not have to be accompanied by a standard method of acquisition. This is an area where the sages relax the law because someone is about to leave this world for the next world. So Rav said this is like riding on two horses, meaning you're trying to double up and strengthen the force of this gift by it being a deathbed gift, still with a kinyan. And therefore, in some respects, it is like a matnat bari, a healthy person's gift, and in some respects, it's treated like a matnat shchiv meira, a terminally ill person's gift. How so? Kematnat shchiv bari, it's like a healthy person's gift, that if the person got better, he recovered from his illness, he cannot retract this gift. Now, the reason why we say that a person who is ill and recovers can retract is the thinking that they only gave this gift on the premise that they were going to die and they don't need their possessions anymore, so they're happy to give it away. But if they knew they were going to recover, they wouldn't want to give away the stuff. So in this instance, even if he recovers, he can't insist upon getting it back because he put in a kinyan. And it's like a deathbed gift insofar as that he's allowed to transfer by way of a kinyan sudar, by way of a kin chalipin, a token exchange, an abstraction like a loan. Ordinarily, kinyan sudar only works to give over metaltalin, movable items, or real estate, but not abstractions like a debt. But here, because we're going to treat it like a matnash chimera, deathbed gift, you could even hand over financial obligations in this fashion. Nun vav. If you make a stipulation which contradicts the rules of the Torah, your stipulation is invalid, and whatever change of status was supposed to go into effect will go into effect, even if the stipulation is not adhered to. The implication of this is that in rabbinical matters, if you make a stipulation which goes against the rabbinical rule, the stipulation is valid and will affect the outcome of the case. Kasav Meir Kasav Doraita. But what do we find? That when it comes to the ketubah, the Tanai is invalid. So is a ketubah a biblical law or a rabbinic law? Rabbi Meir holds ketubah is a biblical law. Nun Zayin. Notnin lebatula shnei masar chodesh. Mishitava habal lefanas atatzma. We give a bride 12 months to prepare herself with her jewelry and her adornments from the time that the husband solicits her in marriage. So we have to give her time to get herself ready, and we give 12 months. Just as we give the wife, we also give the husband time to do what? To prepare the tzarchei suda v'chuppah, the wedding feast and the associated preparations of chuppah. And for a widowed bride, she doesn't need a full year. We just give her 30 days, and that's enough to get herself ready after having been solicited for marriage. Nunchet. Amar Rav, a woman can say to her husband, I don't want to get any mizonot from you. I don't want to be given sustenance from you. And I'm also not going to do any work for you. Because the mizonot and the maseyadeh are a deal, one for the other. And the Gemara here is saying, well, the woman can say, no deal. I don't want this from you, and I'm not going to give this to you. This statement in the Gemara assumes that the main reason for the trade-off was to give the woman sustenance. And as for the maseyadeh, her handiwork, it's mishum eva, so that he shouldn't get angry at her that she's getting and he's getting nothing. But that she can rescind the whole thing, since it was primarily for her benefit. And therefore to cancel out both is her prerogative. Nuntet 59. Hekdesh, rendering something sacred onto the temple coffers. Chametz, leavened bread on Passover. V'shichur, the emancipation of a Canaanite servant. Mafkin midei shibud, can serve to undo the lien on property. Meaning, this change of status, which happens whether the counterparty likes it or not, has the ability to uproot a shibud, a lien, and therefore the malveh gov makom acher, the lender must collect the debt from some other source. That these items that have now had a change of status, they're kodesh, they're chametz, they're emancipated, cannot serve as as an item to be collected. The malva has to go and find another way to collect. Everyone have a great week.